First of all, what do you think of the Obama administration's response to this horrific terrorist attack on the synagogue in Jerusalem?
Well, we appreciate the strong statements made by both Secretary Kerry and President Obama condemning it. We wish that we would hear such a statement from President Abbas. He condemned it, and at the same time, he accused Israel once again of trying to invade the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which was a total lie. He is spreading this libel, which is creating an environment of incitement, which are allowing these attacks to happen. And I want to correct one thing that your reporter said. People ask, is this part of the problem, the breakdown of the peace process? Remember, Wolf, you've been covering this conflict for a long time. In the mid-1990s, we had buses blowing up. And people said at the time that was because the peace process was actually moving forward. Now they're saying that the reason why Jews are being massacred is because there's not a peace process. It has nothing to do with the peace process. It has to do with the fact that you have in Palestinian society people who want to murder Jews. And they're now in an environment where people are encouraging it. Hamas is celebrating in the streets of Gaza. Abbas is not condemning these types of acts.
What do you want to hear from
fueling the fire?
What would you like to hear from the Palestinian Authority president?
Well, how about stop your government, end your pact that you've made with a bunch of terrorists? Right now, President Abbas is sitting in the same government with the terrorists who are celebrating the savage murder of Jews in a synagogue. How about he ends his pact with Hamas? That's for starters. The second thing that he might want to do is stop using the media that he controls, the schools that he controls, the mosques that he controls, to incite against Jews, to incite to violence and terrorism, and spread a lie as if we're trying to destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque. It's false, and he's got to stop it, and the world has to hold him accountable.
Is there a dialogue? Do you have the Israeli government and the Palestinian Authority leadership, including President Abbas, is there a dialogue of sorts that you guys are discussing any of this directly?
Well, we have ways to communicate. We don't have the political dialogue because once President Abbas made the decision to make a pact with an unreformed terror organization, the political talks stopped. And I think it's important for the world to send a very strong message after this attack to President Abbas, end your pact with Hamas, and you have to go into peace negotiations with Israel. What is he doing? He's not only staying with Hamas, he is also seeing from a lot of European governments that they will recognize a Palestinian state. So the only message that the world is sending to Abbas is do what you're doing. Stay in bed with these terrorists, continue to incite against Israel, and we'll give you everything you want. A different message has to be heard from the international community.
We have the video of Palestinians, Hamas supporters in Gaza celebrating what has happened. You can see it right there. You can see that there's not just a few, there's a lot of them celebrating what's going on. Here's the question, and I was in Jerusalem for much of July when the war was going on between Israel and Hamas in the aftermath of those 3 Israeli teenage boys who were killed on the West Bank. Are you anticipating, should the U.S. anticipate an escalation, another serious round of warfare between Israel and Hamas?
Listen, we hope that doesn't happen. I think we delivered them a very, very heavy blow the last time around. We hope they won't go back and fire rockets at Israel because we're going to have to do what we'll do to defend ourselves. But if we want to prevent this from escalating, the international community has to stand very strongly and send a very clear message to President Abbas. Remember, when President Abbas made this pact with Hamas, most of the world applauded. Most of the world said this was a step forward to peace. Now, you see what you see on the television screen here. Do you think it's a step forward for peace that President Abbas has reached out to an organization whose members dance when you've got Jews butchered in a synagogue? Is that a step forward to peace? If that's the message that Abbas continues to hear, you're not going to see any change in the situation on the ground. If he hears a different message from the international community, then maybe you'll begin to change the course.
And this Palestinian bus driver who died, the Prime Minister of Israel in his speech today, he said he committed suicide. The Palestinians think he was killed by an Israeli. What do you know about this?
Well,
what's the evidence that you have that he committed suicide?
We have a pathologist's report. It's not a matter of opinion. It's a matter of fact. He committed suicide. But of course, the Palestinians use this to incite against Israel and to try to get more and more people to go and attack Jews. And this has to stop. There has to be a clear response from the international community against it. You know, if the international community would spend 1/10 of the time that they spend condemning Israel for building apartments in Jerusalem, focusing on the problem of Palestinian incitement, we'd be a lot closer to peace today.
Mr. Ambassador, I want you to stand by. We have more to discuss, including next Monday's deadline for an international deal with Iran to end its nuclear program. I know Israel has strong thoughts on what's going on right now.